It's Richard from Ebits.ie, showing you how you can help local businesses and make money too. Today, I want to talk about in this lesson issues that can occur with hosting. And the next lesson is also going to be about hosting as well. So it is a really important topic. Now, to recap, as a local business marketer, hosting is a logical add-on service that you should provide. Why? Because somebody says, well, I want to develop a website, or I want to transfer over my website so that you can look after it. Well, you need to know how hosting works, and you also need to be able to provide the service. Because you are going to be designing the websites, it makes sense that you add this service into your portfolio. Now remember, shared reseller hosting is the best option. Now, a few people have said to me, I've had a quick look at hosting providers, and there is an option there for like personal hosting, and it gives me unlimited sites that I can host. So why would I not use that option? Well, technically there's a couple of problems. The first thing is that I always like to give people their own control panel, their own cPanel access, so that they can add their email addresses, etc. Most of them don't do that. They ask me to do it for them, but it just gives them their separate space. If I don't do that, they would have to probably log in through my own master control panel, which I don't want them to do. Secondly, you're actually against the terms of service if you do that, because the hosting companies specifically provide shared reseller hosting in order for you to actually sell the service. So if you start selling the service and it's based on a personal account, if you run into any technical difficulties, they're going to say, hold on a second, this should be on a reseller account. The problem is then that they could shut down your account because you've breached the terms of services, and of course that means then you'd lose all your websites. So you're not going to do that. You're going to make sure that you have shared reseller hosting. Now, the third reason to have hosting as an add-on is it's recurring income. Okay, it's not a lot. It's maximum, I would say, $120 a year maybe. But if you have 10, 20, 30 websites being hosted with you, that's a guaranteed 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 a year, which adds up. And your costing, the cost to you will largely remain the same, unless you have to go to a higher hosting package because you're hosting more clients. But you might be talking about 600 to 700 euros a year to host all of these websites, and you could be making 3,000. So your net profit might be just over 2,000 euros or $2,000, which is not bad. And there's a good retention record with companies who host with you. I think over the years I've lost maybe 5% of my clients because they decide that their website, they want to update their website. They employ an agency to do that. And of course, the first logical thing that the agency do is they say, well, let's move the hosting over to our particular system. And that's fine. But it is a good source of recurring income. Now, there are challenges when you start to host a website. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this. It is a big responsibility because there are websites and there are businesses that are depending on you. And if something goes wrong, they look to you to help them. They see you as the hosting provider. They don't probably realize that you're renting the hosting from somebody else. So they see you as the first point of contact. And I would never really give the point of contact of the hosting company to your clients, because first of all, your hosting company is dealing with you and not your individual clients. Plus, I would say you might want your clients to know what you're actually paying for the hosting, because then they might say, oh well, I'll go directly to the hosting company rather than going to Richard or going to Mark or going to whoever it may be. So you need to make sure that you can contact the technical support and that they respond quickly. Now, most hosting companies will have a service level agreement or an SLA, and they might say we will respond to your initial request within an hour. So that means that they respond and they say, okay, we're looking into this, we'll get back to you as soon as possible. In my experience, most hosting companies, that I have used, have responded really quickly. Now, you also have to make sure that they have 24 hours, 7 day a week technical support, because the problem is that they can't just work 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, because if something happens to your website after hours, and remember, after hours could be during our working hours. For example, a lot of my sites are based in Europe, but the server is based in the States. So I can't have it that something goes down and then the hosting company says, oh, well, we don't open till 9 o'clock, so we can't help you. And that means that the site is down. Before it's even looked at, it's down for 4 or 5 hours. I find that any hosting company worth its weight in gold will actually provide 24/7 support. Might be a little bit slower during certain hours or over the holidays, etc., which is understandable. But as long as you tell your clients as well what your service level agreement is, or you say to them, well, I have to talk to the tech support guys, it'll be an hour before I can sort this out for you. Expectations and managing expectations is really important. So let's talk about what can go wrong. Well, there's lots that can go wrong. The worst thing that can happen is the server can go down. Now, if you're on reseller hosting, shared reseller hosting, it is up to the company to look after that. And I'm going to talk to you about who is responsible for what in the next slide. The site could be hacked. Okay, so somebody could go in and they could do anything to your website. They could deface it, they could change the content, etc. Your site could be lost if there's no backup in place. Now, normally the servers will be backed up on a regular basis, but you may also want to provide the service, or you may also want to do it without even charging extra to back up client sites. If they're really important, they should be backed up probably on a daily basis or a weekly basis. The other thing that could happen is malware could be installed. Now, malware could be anything from a phishing type of site that people get a link and they go to your site and it looks like it's a banking site, okay? Or it could be that it's used as a bot site, that they install some script and then that starts attacking other websites and putting viruses on those websites. There's lots that can go wrong. But let's talk about responsibilities. Now, if you have shared reseller hosting, the hosting company are responsible for server maintenance, okay? To do upgrades, to make sure that the memory is working correctly, the hard disks are working correctly, the processors aren't overworked, etc. To a certain degree, they also have to look after the backups. So they have to ensure that they are backing up the server on a regular basis, and we believe that they are. But they will tell you that in their agreement schedule or in their contract. And the overall security of the server, they need to make sure it's secure, that people aren't actually just going in and being able to access the server at a root level, which means at an administrator's level. But the hosting company are not responsible for installing scripts, themes, WordPress, etc. for you. Now, sometimes things will go wrong and it will be their fault, or it could be that they've made some changes to the server and your script stops working. You can ask them about that. I've always found that the hosting companies that I've ever worked with, the last two, my current one and the previous one, were always very good at helping out if something went wrong. And the current one that I'm going to recommend, the link is in the comments, this one is particularly good, and they really, really go above and beyond what other hosting companies have done to help you. And we're going to be talking about, in the next slide, a brief overview of what you need to look for in a company. But in the subsequent lesson, we're going to get more specific about this. You are responsible for ensuring your site is secure, so that your WordPress is up to date, that you have adequate security so that somebody can't actually log in and start changing your site. And you are also responsible to ensure that there's no malware on your individual sites. Now, a lot of the hosting companies will do periodic scans and they'll have security in place to make sure that if malware is detected or if spamming is detected, they will notify you. But you should also log into cPanel. You could run a antivirus check on the server every couple of weeks. So the company that you select needs to be reliable. Again, as I say, we're going to expand on this in the next video. They must have good pre and post sales. Like any company, the problem is that a lot of the times they're really interested when you actually want to engage their services, but then afterwards they don't really give a damn. There should be fast and easy communication with the company. That, for example, you can have a live chat, you can have a help desk, or you can have a telephone number where you can ring them. Over the last 15, 20 years of hosting companies that I've been dealing with, I've never had to call them on the telephone. I've always been able to go through the live chat or their email systems. They should have experienced tech support, okay? And most companies will. And they must have a guaranteed uptime to a point. There's no 100% guarantee in anything in life, and when it comes to IT, even less. But most companies will have a system where they say we guarantee 99.9% uptime. So all servers will go down periodically for a couple of minutes, but there needs to be some sort of guarantee. Now, what you should do is, as a hosting provider, you should consider weekly backups or get a plugin that will do this. And there are plugins that will do this, and we'll talk about that in the advanced WordPress course. I use a service, and I recommend it highly. It's a free service called Uptime Robot. And what that does is you enter in your domain name or your website address, and it will scan every 5 minutes, and it will notify you if your site has gone down within that 5-minute period. So this is great because it has happened to me in the past that somebody comes to me and they say, oh, my site has been down, and I've not realized it, or I didn't realize it because I wasn't monitoring the server, or I wasn't monitoring the individual websites. So this is another sort of value add-on that you can give to people, saying that you actively monitor their sites to make sure that they're working properly 24 hours, 7 days a week. In reality, you're using this Uptime Robot. You should always make sure that there's clear and concise communication with the hosting company and clients, because you don't want to piss off the hosting company by being aggressive to them, by telling them that they're not doing their job properly, etc. There are ways and means of doing this. And same with clients. You need to manage their expectations. And above all, with everything that you do, you must be professional in how you provide your service. Now, as always, for more information, if you want to be kept updated or you want to find out more about local business marketing, there is a link in the description, and you can always visit Ebits.ie local business marketing. I'll see you in the next lesson.